In this chapter, we are going to learn what perspectives need a realignment or how you can leverage the metaverse factor. Now, if I were to define the metaverse, and obviously as of mid-2022, because we all learn and mature, I would say that the metaverse, first of all, is not a status of being. So it's not to what is the metaverse. It's not being or not being in the metaverse. Metaverse is not a place, it's not a thing, it's not a game, it's not an NFT. Metaverse provides something to somebody. Therefore, the question that I like to answer is not what is the metaverse, but what does the metaverse? And I like to differentiate between two different target audiences. What does it to humankind? And what does it to industries and businesses and brands? The metaverse provides a phygital experience. An experience that unites the physical and the digital into one world called the metaverse. A world in which people, places, and products are augmented beyond the limitation of physics. An experience where our time and contribution to a traceable, cross-dimensional economy, meaning in real life to digital, are rewarded with true digital ownership. For brands and companies which are jointly now defined as the industry, let me describe what the metaverse does. The metaverse provides a next-gen engagement experience that empowers industry players to make consumers, customers, and clients part of the commerce process, meaning co-creation between producers and consumers rather than target audiences being sold a product. And as such, the metaverse empowers industry to live up to corporate missions via storytelling in a collaboration with their respective community, where all involved parties benefit from owning a piece of the created value. Imagine a near future, in my opinion, where we'll be seeing holograms across places, or maybe we wear very stylish glasses, or maybe only lenses. They paint an additional layer of information on top of our real world. This augmented information will allow us to interact and redeem promotional rewards such as tokens or digital assets. Now the question is, Tommaso, how to do this? And in order to get there, let's jump onto the next section. I would like to break down 6 things of what the metaverse actually isn't. Number 1 of what the metaverse is not, it's not a game. Not a game because early adopters were and are gamers and crypto aficionados enjoying gamified mechanics and valuable rewards / ownership mechanics and systems. Number 2, the metaverse is not transactional NFT drops, but it relies upon a sustainable economy which actually adds and provides value / utility to non-fungible tokens. Number 3, the metaverse is not VR headset, but platform agnostic. It's mobile, it's web, obviously virtual reality, and even stronger augmented reality in the near future. Number 4 out of 6 is metaverse is not meta. Like Google is not the internet. Meta is just the next generation of Facebook. Number 5, the metaverse is not a trend, but here to stay. It's a $2 trillion by 2030 and an opportunity for any individual and any industry. And last but not least, the metaverse is not digital, but it's a convergence between the physical and the digital world. Let me double click here on a couple of those examples of what it's not. Many people associate the metaverse with gaming or gamers. Well, it has been the long-standing narrative that metaverse will convert our lives into sci-fi movie-like environments where we will all be living our lives in virtual reality throughout avatars in the metaverse. The metaverse looks like a game, but it's more like the future of commerce. What is the lesson learned from Web 2 into Web 3, or to be more specific, from branding in Web 2, and what do we apply in branding in Web 3? Let me throw out here a couple of brands. Things like Porsches, things like Birkenback from Hermes, Things like Rolex watches. These are assets that are understood as social stats because of the price, because of the supply and demand, of the community, and ultimately, really, the story behind it. The underlying sentiments of those assets were what? Ownership. But it's a different ownership. It's almost proud ownership. I'm proud of having those assets, right? Prestige, social status. So what are the others thinking about it, right? Also value creation over time, because those assets, for those who are following, right, that I mentioned, have increased over time depending on the supply and demand on the model, right? Now, how does this relate to Web3, Tommaso? Because of the underlying Web3 blockchain technologies that allows true digital ownership, it allows traceability, it allows visibility, immutability. For the first time since bits and bytes were invented, these ownership of assets is extending from tangible assets to digital assets. Co-creation will become at the center of all this. In this lecture, I would like to break down how companies are approaching their corporate strategy or their digital strategy when it comes to NFTs, tokens, and metaverse. I've been approached several times with a very big question, relevant, fundamental question, which is, okay, Tommaso, there are so many requests from marketplaces, from tokens, decentralized applications, from metaverses and whatnot. And we are trying to figure out what is the now, the next, and the then in terms of the corporate innovation and corporate strategy on how you want to approach this. And in order to kick off things, I would like to expand upon the link between NFTs and the metaverse. And I would like now for you to start looking at this quadrant. As a quadrant, you have the left side of the quadrant and the right side of the quadrant. On the left side of the quadrant, you will be seeing on the upper left side marketplaces and on the lower end side tokens. These, for non-fungible tokens, are quick to launch tactics, but transactionals because they're very sales oriented. Meaning you have to ask yourself as a company, as a strategy, what is it that you would like to convey to your consumers? You have to have a mix of those four strategies. The question is, how do you put them in an order? How do you start off? And because this is being a trial, yes, we have muted the scene. Adding value to digital assets that you provided or that you own, because it's built to engage and retain consumers long term. It focuses on community and it leads to the highest brand equity creation. To recap, what is the NFT commercialization quadrant? This reflects on your brand strategy, and so you can plan out what's the now, what's the next, and what's the then strategy. In order to approach the metaverse topic, regardless if you're an end user or a brand, or I don't want to spoil the others, right? You would like to join metaverses based on missions. And it's not the mission of the actually platform itself, but the mission that you bring into the metaverse. So step number one is mission. You need to have a vision and a mission that allows a community, and that's basically around the mission, a community of users to crave, to wanting to be part of the story. Without a story, without a vision, without a mission, no users. Without users or mass users, you don't have a community. And without community, you cannot build the supply and demand, the wants that is fundamental for the economy. Once you have your mission and your vision, and you have chosen the platforms that support your mission and your vision, you start building your community, right? You have here the creators that join the community. Well, who are now creators? Why are creators, Tommaso, differently to be treated as an end user? On one hand, you have creators that actually have the ability to co-create if the metaverse that you have chosen allows a creator to contribute without developing something. Usually also you see tools such as no-code tools, called no-code tools, meaning you would like to contribute from a design perspective, you would like to contribute from a quiz perspective, from a content perspective, right? And you not necessarily have the capabilities of developing something. So basically to be an engineer. And within the creators, you have then basically also the other creators and co-creators target audience, which are the developers. They additionally have the skill set of adding value from a development perspective. They would connect with APIs or SDKs, again, depending on what the platform is providing, in order to take what you have built in the metaverse, and based on what the metaverse framework on the metaverse platform and the metaverse environment allows, add value on top of the platform and basically co-design, expand, build other games, build other reward mechanism, right? And that's basically the third instance. So first is the mission. Around the mission you have the community, and then you have the creators, and the creators are either mostly designers or developers. The mission, the community, and the creators and developers, they live under or within, surrounded by an economy. The economy of the metaverse itself, which is a fundamental ingredient. You can, first of all, once you are in the metaverse, buy, sell, and swap your non-fungible tokens. Secondly, participate in play to earn mechanics. You engage because you did that, you get something out of it. And because of that, you can And number 5, share the world with others and make basically others part of this community. And last but not least, I mentioned it already, but it can become a standalone revenue source so you can earn something. So how can you be a creator? Well, the answer to this question depends on your skill sets, right? So what is that you defines your skill again? Can you code? Then you're a developer. Leverage the API. Can you design? Then contribute as a creator. Then you can do content. Then you are a creator. How do you make money as a developer or as a creator? Well, it generally deals with the quality of the artwork. And if you satisfy all the terms, you get paid from the platform in a primary or a secondary market transaction. Similarly, since you are the creator of this asset, you are the owner of them all as well. That means that you could sell them, as I mentioned, in a secondary market, meaning you could make and repurpose that outside also the platform, either in the platform or outside the platform. And there are 4 reasons what kind of IP holder, a licensor and brands, why they should join the metaverse. First, how is utility created? How do we interpret utility? How do we live utility in this Web3 world? The core of this environment, of this Web3 metaverse, you would like to have engagement and retention mechanics. Why? Because the goal is to have your returning user being part of the story, of the mission. I give you some examples. You can basically create here some mini games within the metaverse so that the user wants to come back and complete each section. Or you can have collections within the metaverse and the user is basically intrigued by completing those collections. And you see here basically kind of the extensions and the level and the depth in what you can create here, reward system, engagement system, so that you can hook your future next generation and make them more part of your brand, make them more part of your mission. I love Web3. The last section here of Recalibrate Learnings, I would like to talk about metaverse measurements, metaverse metrics. And I would like to take you into the future of advertisement. Or is there a future of advertisement? Well, join me on this chapter. Well, fundamental to any economy, you need to know your units of measurement, also abbreviated with UOM. In Web 2 and in Web 1, we measured ROI, return of investment, large on pay-per-click, pay-per-download, and so on. As you likely know, ads are distributed through ads platforms and networks to reach a target audience. So now these consumers are essentially trapped because ads often pop up before the desired content is shown. In the metaverse, though, the underlying layer of traceability and ownership built on a blockchain shifts the power to the consumer. Why? Because the consumer can provide consensus, presumably on a blockchain, in exchange for a reward, such as a token. So you do something, I get something. Well, following this, it would be interesting for businesses to measure marketing or even go-to-marketing strategies by 5 dimensions we use when we examine metaverse utility, which I described in the previous section. And those being, again, geolocation, contextualization, gamification, co-creation, and phygital. And that's a nice way of assessing a metaverse from its units of measurement. There are various levels of vicinity. Perhaps businesses can measure success by user density in a location, right? This could be based on events that you create, key locations, right? There are fundamentals, etc. Key considerations here are where the people congregate and how many there are overall. Or even think of heat maps in the metaverse are a good example. In traditional video games, developers can tell where players go inside games and collocate the data to understand hot and cold spots on maps. This dictates market potential and virtual location to focus on. Well, at this point, I would like to thank you for checking out the trial section. And if you feel it's the right moment to learn how to metaverse, feel free to sign up.